Hello and welcome back. Today I am very excited to give an overview of the most recent technology added to the project, and that is the folding of many various MDB databases into the one big beautiful binary database. I will only be covering the most salient parts of this update here. However, if you are interested in the general development process behind the MBD structure, I have left a link below to the full video, or if you would just like to see the final product, there is another link to the GitHub below. First, we started by adding a file representation for the MBD structure and added it to the build tool. The original plan was to make a database builder of database builders, but this didn't pan out. Currently, it is not being used to its fullest potential, and as I get back around to updating the build tool to be more user-friendly, at that time the extra functionality will be added. However, for the time being, the MBD structure is basically a glorified export wrapper. Next, and the biggest change, was to the database builders and exporters. Aside from having to now house their own exporters, database builders also have to take into account the fact that they are no longer writing to their own files, but their own section of a larger file. To account for this, certain assumptions about positions and the way they can be tracked had to change. Most important was the current write position variable. This was repurposed to allow us to be able to track in our outer export loop where the next inner header export should begin for that specific database and its entries. Finally, the importers weren't actually too much of a change. Truly, the only thing new we had to account for was instead of loading a specific database file, we want to supply a database ID that would act as a primary index into the database, and then the previously supplied database entry ID would be the secondary index into the requested database entries. With this, we have now wrapped up what I imagine is the last of the more abstract and generic game technologies and concepts for the foreseeable future. That being said, I am doubly excited today to be able to announce the next bit of development going forward, and that would be making a robust and responsive combat system. As you may have seen up until now, our current combat system lacks both of those things and many more. So I'm very hopeful with many good things to come ahead. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.